Our AUVs for last year at the drive-thru locations are around 2.2 million.
Wow. This episode brought to you by Restaurant Systems Pro. With excitement, allow me to introduce Kyle and Maggie Gordon. Are you two feeling unstoppable today?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Thanks for having us.
Extra unstoppable.
I'm going to go first because I think Kyle has a really good one that I want to hear his story on that I just heard this morning for the first time, miraculously. But mine is get out of your comfort zone because that's where the magic happens. I know we've all heard it, but like I live by that every day. The things I'm doing now are definitely outside what I thought was my comfort zone. And I think that the more you are just willing to like try new things and like let go of stuff, bring something new in, like you just got to push through it to make the magic happen.
Yeah, and that's really where growth happens, is in that uncomfortable place.
Yeah.
Out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Awesome stuff. What about you, Kyle? What do you have?
Mine is leap and the net will appear.
I went straight into media and advertising out of school. And so I worked at like big agencies. So right off the bat, I was like, I can help with the marketing side.
Yeah.
So I jumped in, like I said, did all the graphic design, any marketing pieces we had, all the execution of marketing, accounting, HR, payroll, like really a lot of the back end, IT. I am the IT department, and Kyle focused on the operations and people, training, development, all that. So I was kind of the behind the scene.
In Rocket Fuel, one of the series of books in Gina Wickman's book.
Love that book.
EOS,
Love that.
You are the Rocket Fuel. You are the
I'm the
implementer.
She's the integrator.
The integrator.
I am
Thank
the
you very much.
integrator, and
Yeah.
he is our visionary.
And this is such an important thing. Like, you can't be everything in a restaurant. I really do believe you have to really divide and conquer and find people who complement you. And you guys are so lucky to have each other. Let's get into like the biggest challenges you had and the advice you had from the perspective of PR and marketing and being like in the dirt, right, as the integrator. What has that been like for you?
Well, I mean, when I take my past into account, I think really like the challenge for me was coming into it. I didn't know how to market a restaurant, and it's totally different than what I did. I was marketing for Pepsi before, so I'm like, I have no budget, like got to get our hands in the dirt, get out there, and what can we do within our means that can be impactful? So like that was a really big challenge for me professionally. And as we grew and, we have more resources, we can do more things, and really with more restaurants, more responsibility comes, and I didn't have the time to focus on marketing all the time like I did. I really had to lean into all the other departments that took precedent, and that pushed me out of my comfort zone for sure. I think that leaning into trusting other people, I am a bit of a perfectionist, self-proclaimed, and so control is like an issue for me. And I had to really like listen to Kyle and mentors. Like Kyle's really good about pushing me to let go of the vine, and trust the advisors and the professionals we have around us, and hiring great professionals to help us when I know I'm at my capacity.
Yeah.
I think that's like my biggest thing this year in transformation is like really leaning into the integrator role in a different way. Like I have been such a doer for the last 9 years. I've been doing all the things to keep the company running. And now I'm having to delegate and orchestrate. And that's really like, it is, I would say, a strong suit of mine. I'm very organized, love like the whole process and making sure everything's talking to each other and working, but letting go of the doing and really focusing on the oversight is the critical piece for us at the stage we're at.
Yeah.
And that's been my challenge. The orchestration piece is kind of how I see myself as the integrator. I've got every department under me, and I'm trying to make sure they all talk to each other and are respecting each other in everything that happens from behind the scenes to in the front of house. So we may have a new marketing campaign, and I've got to make sure that IT has the discount set up, and then the operations knows that they know what they need to do. They're aware. They know where the button is. They know how to promote it in store, and it needs to make sure that it is taken into account on the back end, as well as accounting comes into play and how it's put in there. So it's really making sure that any initiative we have, every department is taken into account as far as how it can be impacted, benefit, or if it could hurt that department. So it's my job to be the gatekeeper and make sure that everyone is being heard as a department. My job as the integrator is to remove the roadblocks. So when people hit a wall or they've got a problem that, it might be siloed to one department, it might affect multiple departments, but when there is a roadblock, it's my job to find the resource to remove the roadblock, find a solution, a new system, a new process. My job is to make everyone's jobs easier. We really work together on making sure we're creating a vision that represents us, the livelihood of the restaurant, and the personality of our restaurant.
That's where we overlap. Like our Venn diagrams, sometimes they have a big overlap, and so if you took design and aesthetics and marketing, we would be really overlapped, and we share a lot of we join together really tightly.
And even the interior design too.
Yeah. But accounting, I have a tiny sliver that I overlap.
I don't know if there's even a sliver.
It's the bubbles touch. I think a good way to put it is we want to build community through Primo Quesadilla meals. And so that's how the restaurants feel. It's a place that the community can go. It's a place that, you'll see a school fundraiser. It's a place that you'll see people meeting for a work lunch. It's a place that you'll see a family come for a quick dinner. But you won't find alcohol. You won't find TVs. You find a more of a food focus. And I love quesadillas as connection. Yes. That's really the customer that we're looking for, that somebody wants to connect over food. Mm-hmm. That's really where the heart and what it's grown to as finding the purpose. Best in the world at quality convenience, is something that we really strive to be, because the quality piece was really important as well. So we don't compete on price, right? So we only compete on quality and service, and so those things were pillars from the get-go, and so that type of thing continues to grow with the brand, right? And our menu isn't overly aggressive on your palate. You'll never be oh, that's too spicy for me. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Everything will you could come up to that level with a hot hatch, but you're never going to be pushed over the edge in terms of the adventure zone, in terms of oh dang, this is hot.
So it's even though you grow that top line sales, it doesn't mean it's all going to flow to the bottom line. You can squeeze more out of that bottom line without having to just go hustle and get sales.
Yes. I know that the mindset was launch mode, and we were talking about, hey, we're at this point where, the last, then it was last 7 years has been about getting to this point where we can drop the hammer and just go. Mm-hmm. So before we talk about, what is the vision? Where do you want to be? What's the goal for Dillas? How big do you want to get?
Well, the short-term vision in 10 years is 150 communities. So we want to be serving Primo Quesadilla meals in 150 communities. That's the 10-year goal, right? So the big goal is, the vision of the company is to be the brand for Primo Quesadilla meals. Okay. So when you think quesadilla, you think Dilla.
Yeah.
it's synonymous.
Yeah. So you're thinking burrito, you're thinking
Chipotle.
Yeah.
Right.
So
So we want to own that. So that's thousands of restaurants.
So when I first had you on the show, were you the only Primo Quesadilla brand that you knew of?
Yeah. There's a couple of other players in the space, but obviously quesadillas is a really big niche in a lot of these different restaurants. Everybody's heard of quesadillas because a lot of places have them, but to have the cojones, to have the cojones, that's the only thing we do.
Yeah.
I think that was the kind of initial impression and surprise of dude, that's all you're gonna do? Why don't you just, you might as well add tacos. You might as well add burritos. You have all the ingredients for it. It's no. Yeah. We're just doing this.
Simple, stupid, right?
Yeah. Keep it simple. And so the other players in this space aren't really in our space, because we want to be quality convenience, right? And the other players that have kind of emerged or that are trying to dabble are more about alcohol component as part of it. Don't have a drive-through.
What you were talking about earlier, the craft cocktails with the vibey place,
it's more
Instagram
of a
worthy
feel than it is a Whataburger or a Cane's feel or an In-N-Out feel like we are.
We're the only one doing it drive-through for sure.
Got it. So 150 communities, so we can say 150 locations.
Yeah.
In the next 10 years. Where are you in getting ready for that growth? What are you at the point where you're ready just to go push, or is there more that has to happen?
We've already jumped off the cliff that we were.
So we are free falling.
We're free falling.
Yeah, I knew this was a fun ride. I was wondering why. So we jumped off the cliff.
Yeah.
What had to happen for you to take that leap?
Okay. Well, I'll let Maggie jump in as I go through it, because the growth is what I'm super passionate about, and all that we've had to do to get to this point. But a big feather in our cap was when we opened our South Shreveport location, right? That South Shreveport location was a second-gen restaurant, and it opened up doing like $70,000 a week.
Wow.
And we're like, what the, like, is our brand like capable of that? Yeah. Like, do that many people like it, or that many people interested in this? Like, we never touched those kinds of volumes.
Yeah.
And so after that, we were like, you know, our chests like completely inflated. And we're like, oh, well, yes, we're going to take over the world now. Yeah, we're like, ooh. And so like that gave us tremendous confidence. Right after that, we opened the Denton location, and that was like that June 21 or something like that.
Six, location number
yeah,
6.
6. And that one opened at like 60, 70. Took the Golden Gorilla back.
I was going to say, they opened stronger than South Shreveport.
Yeah.
They actually beat the record.
Wow.
So like we've got this Golden Gorilla, and it lives at whoever did the highest weekly volume in history. So it's sitting in Denton right now because nobody's beat their number yet. And then after that, we opened the Bossier location, and they do crazy numbers. And so like we're just like, okay, like,
are they sustaining these numbers?
Yeah, you know, like they're not doing their grand
not
opening
grand
numbers.
opening.
Yeah, but our AUVs for last year at the drive-thru locations are around 2.2 million.
We have to interrupt today's video to let you know that right now, Restaurant Systems Pro is offering a no strings attached 60-day trial that will help you improve your systems, increase your profit, and find better work-life balance. All you have to do is click the link below.
Is there queso on my beard?